Hi everyone, this is Diane. I am working on some more ephemera out of the box of odds and ends, and you can see it's still pretty full, but I have gotten quite a bit done out of it, and I have to put it away and get to work on a journal tomorrow. So I wanted to just show you what I did and then finish up a couple of items. So this is what I did in the first video. If you watched that, we had some tally cards that were kind of plain on the front. They didn't have a picture. And I just took some digital images that I had and added them and added a couple other pieces to it. This one I didn't add anything to yet. It's just the digital, but these little extras. So you saw that in the previous video if you watched it, and then these were a couple of journaling cards that I made also in that video, and some other things that we did. So off camera, I wasn't able to make a video because I was in and out and in and out, but I wanted to get some of these projects done. So I took some of my digital pieces. So I took a lot of things out of this box, but I also added some other things, some little bits of fabrics and laces, and some digitals that I already had printed and wanted to use. So I have a large collection of these printed images, and I think I got them from Nevermore Creations quite a long time ago, and I've had them printed. They're just beautiful pastoral type of images with ladies. And so I wanted to use some of those because I think I printed them twice, because I had at least twice, maybe more. I think there's quite a few on one page, and you get a lot in the kit, but that's at least 2 printings. So don't ask me why, but I made some things with those images. So I had these bases in my box, just scrapbook papers that I had cut into the shape of tags. So some of them have this shape, that's with my tag punch, and some of them I just angled with my scissors, but they're all scrapbook papers. And so that's what I did. I made a set of 6 tags, so I can make a couple of journals and put 3 tags in each journal with these images. So again, this is a scrapbook paper. There's stitching on the back, but you can write there. And I added this beautiful piece of linen. Actually, it was a larger piece that I cut in half, and so I decorated 2 tags with it. It's got some cheesecloth, just a scrap of fabric and a scrap of lace. It makes a beautiful tag. The same with this one. And I added a little piece of a doily up at the top. And this one is a thinner paper. It's coffee dyed scrapbook paper, and it has a different linen behind it and some cheesecloth. And then this was in a bag of fabric scraps that I got at the flea market, and it was a pair of pants, but someone had started cutting them up and must be using the pieces because it has such a cute print, just a cotton fabric. So it had these 4 little tabs. I think they were the belt loops. So I cut that and just added it as a tab. And then there were the 3 that I cut with my punch. So this one has a pattern on it, and I loved the rusty red color, and I added this little piece of red fabric. It's just muslin behind it. And then, of course, I added the seam binding. This is another scrap of a linen piece. You can see here where it had some stitching in it. The brown stitching is what I just did. Scrap of lace. And then this was a piece of muslin that I had stamped. I've had that for a long time, and I finally got to use it. A little scrap of lace. So 6 tags made with some bases that have been waiting for me in that box. And then I decided to make some pockets using the same set of cards, and I had these bases in my box. So I embellished them. This one was a pretty plain piece. It had a pattern, but very, very, very subtle. It was one of the plainer sections of the paper, scrapbook paper. So I had this stamped background piece and this stamped piece and this little scrap. They all came from that box. And then I added that image. Again, this came, I think, off of a vintage composition book cover. And again, a stamped image that was already stamped and cut out and in my box. I don't know why those stamped pieces were in that box and not in my ephemera folder, but this was a stamped piece. It was all together, and I just cut it in half and shared it. And then this one had a stamped piece and this little scrap and this piece of a digital. So 6 pockets and 6 tags that can all go in the same journals. Then I had these pieces of Tim Holtz paper that were folded. They were cut and folded. So I decided to make little booklets. I think maybe someone who was getting rid of some of their supplies sent this batch of cards to me. I think. I don't know. Because I don't remember cutting them and folding them. But I made booklets out of them. I have scraps of lined paper or ledger paper that I put in there. And then I just sewed them by hand. Because I reinforced them with washi tape. They were starting to tear. And so I reinforced them with washi tape, and I didn't want to put the washi tape through my sewing machine. Then I just did some collaging with some elements that were in that little box. Plus digitals. So we're going to finish decorating these little booklets. So it goes that way. So each booklet, oh, this one has 4 pages because I didn't know that that was 2 together. Most of them have 3 pages that were folded in half. So it would be like 12 pages front and back. This one has an extra. So again, I had stamped elements in my box, and I pulled some digitals out of my ephemera folder. I just needed some numbers for accents. And I think I ended up with 6 booklets too, because that's how many were in the box. How many of the folded cards. This is a Tim Holtz stamp that I stamped on tracing paper. And this also was stamped on tracing paper. I hope the lighting is okay. It's late. I should be in bed. I think these are fun booklets. I paper clipped them to hold the pieces on, but also to hold them shut because they wanted to pop open. So now they're wanting to lay down better because they've been trained with the paper clip overnight, because I worked on these last night. This is just stamped on some vintage paper. Just a scrap that I had. So it's nice to have a bunch of things stamped in a variety of colors on a variety of papers, because I wouldn't have, I wouldn't stop and stamp all these things, including things that were on these, if I used stamped images on like that. I just had these in my stash. Things that sometimes I just get my stamps out and stamp stuff and cut it out and have it. So I can just go through my stamped images and add them to collages and decorations and things. So there's that one. This one I already glued. It's got a stamp on it, a real stamp, and that digital piece. And then I added a stamped piece on the inside. And this one's done. I had this little strip that had some pink, and I thought, why not add some pink to this gray? So I pulled a couple of pink digitals and then this stamped piece. I think that looks fun. Now here I have this bird's nest that's stamped on tracing paper, and I've had that in my stash for a long time. So I'm going to use that today. And then I have this little vellum envelope. It's a sticky back one. I had a whole set of these for a long, long time ago, before I started even doing junk journals. And I've used them all except this one, I think. I think this was the last one. So I just decided I would put this down on the inside. And then I will, when I use this booklet in something, I'll just put a little card inside that. So that is 6 booklets. It didn't take me very long to make. I had the scraps of paper. I have a drawer right underneath my desk here that has lined paper pieces that I can use when I need journaling spaces. So I just pulled that drawer out and started finding pieces that were the right size. That I had to trim them, but they were big enough, and did that and chose some embellishments and sewed them together. Washi tape on the edge. So it didn't take me very long to put those together. So that's another set. Then in my box I found this, and I think that's complete. It is I think it's just coffee dyed paper here, and then I had little scraps of coffee dyed paper strips that I had glued onto one big piece, and then I cut it apart. So I just stamped on it. Those are stamps, that's a stamp, and then she was stamped and cut out and glued on. So I think that's a complete card. It was in my box. Must be I wanted to do something else to it, but I think it's fine the way it is. Well, here, I've got some lace here. I could add that to the top. So I'm thinking, like I said, I'll have to put that box away so I can really get to work on the mermaid journals. But I think I will go through the box and thin it out. There comes a time when you have to decide whether you want to keep hanging on. Ouch! That's just a piece of sharp glue there. Do you want to keep hanging on to every little piece? So I think that I'll be cleaning this box out and leaving some things in there. There are some things I definitely want to use. But it becomes overwhelming if you have too much stuff that you think you need to use. So I'm going to thin that out a bit, but I think that card is done. And this one also was a grid index card that I just folded. It's stamped and inked around, and I'm going to call that good. I'll put that in a journal just like that. This tag is a vintage tag that I got at a flea market. It has the metal eyelet there, and I had Mod Podged napkin onto it. So I'm going to finish decorating it and put it in my stash of tags. There's a space here where the napkin was torn, so I'm going to cover that up with this digital ticket. And this space up here, I don't want to cover that number, and I don't want to cover the eyelet, but I can fill in some of that space. So I have that digital ticket. And then there's blue here also. So I have this blue digital button and these two blue pieces. I think I had it like this. Just going to make this a little bit smaller. Put it on right side up. And I think that dresses it up enough. I'm wondering if I should ink around it. You can see all of this up here that was on the tag when I got it. I got a whole pile of these white tags at a, kind of like an antique mall, but it has vendors. But in the back they had a bunch of office supplies like file cabinets and stuff like that. But on a shelf there was just a whole pile of these tags, just willy-nilly. And I took the whole pile up front and there was no price on them. So I think he let me pay $10 for all of them. That was a couple years ago. And I had some in my shop, but I kept some. But anyway, some of them were kind of dirty, which I thought was fun because they're vintage. So you can see the vintageness of them. So I think I'll use baker's twine because I don't want the seam binding to cover up that metal. What color? Got pink. there's that. Alright, then I had these two pieces that are just cardstock Mod Podged with napkins. And so I'm going to do something with them. There's a hole there where the napkin tore and there. So I'm going to trim that off. I might be able to put an embellishment there. And these will just be little tuck spots in some journal. I don't know what journal. Brought some lace over here because I thought I might use lace on these. So these are going to be the last two pieces that I do, but I want to show you another little collection of things that I pulled out of the box that I would like to do on my next play day maybe. So that would cover up that little hole there. This lace came from Hobby Lobby. And I think that's perfectly fine to use as it is, as a tuck spot. So this one I will punch on that corner. And I guess I'll trim off that part. So I'm pretty pleased with all of the pieces that I made by pulling out that box. In just a few days. Just here and there. So this is what I was talking about, this collection of stuff. I used my Big Shot and some of my shaped dies to cut out a whole bunch of shapes using book pages. And I've never done anything with them. I was going to make all kinds of embellishments with them. And then I have some with cardstock too. Just solid color cardstock. So I have some ideas for some things to do to decorate these and have them ready to put sorry, to put into a journal. So I would like to play with these maybe next weekend, or after I finish the mermaid journals, before I start like in between journal projects. But I do have a couple ideas, and we'll see what else I can think of. But for now, today, we did 2 tuck spots, 6 booklets, really fun. This pretty vintage tag. This little journaling spot. And this little journaling spot. Six tags. We didn't do these in this video. I had them already done. But it was still part of this project. And 6 pockets. So not bad, huh? And then I had already done those other items from the other video. So that was quite a bit that I pulled out of this box and added a few other things to each item. But I'm happy with that. But you can see there's just so much in there. Like some of it I can pull out and put somewhere else. Like these plain index cards, they don't need to be in there. I can put them with my index cards. So we'll just see. I'll have to sort through those in a day or two while I'm watching TV or something. So I hope that you got some ideas from this, and especially got some inspiration to get out your odds and ends that you keep piling up. Do you do that? I'm not the only one, I'm sure. And pull out odds and ends of ephemera that you can add to them. How can you combine all those odds and ends to create some usable elements for your journals? Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video. Have a creative day today. Bye-bye.